Hello and welcome to round one of week 2 tournament game between Killing is Just a Means of Communication and Oops All Berries. I think I said those in reverse order from how I was supposed to say them, but whatever, the teams are still there. Team 1 is Killing is Just a Means of Communication. We have Rex, Chopsticks, Lost Leviathan, and Zigzag Vault. Team 2 OSP is Team Oops All Berries. We have Sergeant Gamer, Flying Dog, Tropical Depression, and Razgirl. We are here on Yukon. Leviathan is insulting me in chat. Just ignore what he's saying. Nothing happened. As both teams are deploying here on Yukon. Yukon is one of my favorite maps of all time. This massive wall that divides the map almost in two is a very, very interesting obstacle to deal with. For the most part, teams normally deploy pretty heavily on this side since there are 3 cap points on this side, only 2 cap points on this side. The wall making sure that usually the frontline engagements happen here, and then we have some really nice duels between light assets over here. Yeah, very fun map. I do like it quite a lot, and it's very nice to see this map in the tournament. Zigzag, I apologize. There's nothing I can really do about you having the flu. Unfortunate, but looks like the team's lamenting that they have to play a tournament game. You guys signed up for this. Leviathan is in fact playing on the Steam Deck. We have confirmed that Leviathan is using their Steam Deck to play the tournament match. I would be rather disappointed if we didn't. Looking at initial deployments here, it looks like OSP has quite a lot of quite fewer assets than ANS. Normally you see ANS have less assets than OSP does. I'm not sure. There's only 1 escort here, so yeah, not a lot of stuff on OSP here. We shall see if that's enough to affect the outcome of the match. We have a zoom in on a beamstone, I'm assuming. No, it's a railstone. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. We shall see how the rails do this match. Going over the teams really quickly, Chopsticks has brought the Creature, a missile destroyer here, a mixture of S3 and S2s. Seeing some SGM 300s and SGM 200s. Not seeing any SDMs on this, though, although some of those could be set to frag, potentially. Chopsticks also has a couple of gun cappers here, by the looks of it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it looks like a half-cap missile Yub fleet here. Leviathan's bringing the Beam 250 Axford VLS-3 on the back with some torpedoes and some S3Hs. Very nice. They also have the rails. They are the ones who brought the rails. Very interesting to see here. We don't see a lot of these often anymore. I heard a missile launch order from someone. Yes, missile launch order is out on this missile keystone here. I'm assuming these are it's a mixed salvo. All right, so I'm assuming that's a cap Yub to deal with the caps. Although, oh my gosh, what is this? We'll have to take a look at that later. That's not what I was expecting. Rex Alley has a beam battleship. Oh, we have some interesting fleets today, folks. How many FPAs? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 FPAs in here. Very nice. Parallax, VLS-2 with some Naganantas. Or at least Nagis. Off-brand Naganantas, perhaps. This Beamstone is being escorted by a jamming sprinter here, so gives some jam support. The battleship does have good soft kill on it. It does have that interruption jammer, backup antenna, some defenders and stone walls placed throughout the hull. Very nice. Zigzag with a levy. We have... what do we have in here? Alright, some bombers and some Tontos. Very, very nice to see. We are also running a... gun voxels going low for the E-poke. This is typically where you see voxels go on this map, but there's nothing there. OSP has nothing there. And Oops All Berries has just deployed this massive stack of ships up there. And the last ship on ANS is this gun corvette escorting the levy. Very interesting to see there. We will see what happens there. Already you can see ANS is just pushing the caps. Like, there is nothing to deny these. There is a gun shuttle heading towards D point. But I do believe this might outgun it if there are... Nope, there are no offensive missiles in there, so maybe not. It could be close. On to Oops All Berries. We have MLS Bulker? MLS Bulker with Plasma 100 mil on the nose, so a hybrid Bulker. Bulwark 2000, the power drive in there. Citadel CIC in the big slot. Bulk mag. That bulk mag is going to get taken out pretty quickly if it starts taking fire. We'll see how that goes for them. We have some various, it looks like gun capper assets around the map. It looks like OSP electing to do the massive push onto C point that we typically see here that OSP does, except they are doing it in massive numbers. Looks like Flying Doggo's got 3 obelisk liners. These could be bow onliners as well, potentially, if they've done it. Oh, those are small drives. Those are small drives. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Those drives are going to get knocked out pretty quickly here. We'll see if they can put out enough damage to compensate for that. And Tropical Depression down here has the double Acello. Oh, a small drives! Guys, please, please, you can put the big drives in these things, please. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. So a little bit of a small drive-itis on OSP here, electing to do the small whiplash in these things. These are double 450 Acellos. Good point defense and good soft kill on these. Very useful for supporting your team. They are all the way over here, so their hard kill will not be supporting the liners that have already pushed up to the C point. The C point, however, is being guarded by a beam battleship and a beam 250 Axford. We will see if this is enough to outdamage the ships that have pushed on to the point here. Did I just miss? I think I just missed Sergeant's fleet, didn't I? I completely did. Whoops. What do we have in here? We have big drives in these at least. Standard 250 not Axford, Acello build. Auroras, Illuminators, Jamming, VLS 200 on the back. I'm assuming there's some SDMs in there. Yep, and some SGMs as well, maybe for anti-light work. Looks like these are relatively the same. Nope, this one just has all Auroras, and this one has the soft kill stuff. ANS, to no one's surprise, given where OSP deployed, takes the early cap lead here. The Beam 250 Axford starting to take some long-range 450 fire from these Acellos here. Should be worth noting that ANS doesn't really have any like long-range stuff other than these Railstones, meaning that if OSP can just use the long range of the 450s just to engage at range. Oh, we have a disconnect from Sergeant Gamer as Tropical Depression now has 4 Acellos. We are already too far into the match. Unfortunately, yeah, we are already too far into the match to do a restart. We only really restart these tournament matches if a disconnect happens in really the deployment phase. Because if a disconnect happens in the deployment phase, instead of one player getting someone else's ships, one player's ships are just removed from the match entirely. So, yeah, we are going to continue on. Those rails, though, doing quite a... Whoa, those are doing a lot more than I thought they would. There are a lot of criticals and a lot of fires happening on this ship here. You can start to see the debuffs happen on those weapons as the Sarissa's... The Sarissa's accuracy has been greatly reduced right as the missiles come in. We will see if these missiles are going to be enough to get through. Those are HEKP. If those missiles hit... Oh, no. Those missiles hit, and this Acello is completely out of the fight. That is an unfortunate loss immediately for, and the beam comes in from the axe for just for good measure here. We have more missiles out on the other one as the 2 supporting missiles, the Wild Weasels, go for the ship. These do not have warheads in them, so they will not do any damage if they hit. The S2, I think those are S2H, is going for the chaff, unfortunately. Broadsword Squadron out, we have a pair of... missiles. Were some of those missiles out from Broadsword? I think they were. Interesting. The Beam Solomon is opening up on these liners as the liners push over the rock here. That is 4 beams concentrated in this area. The beam goes into the drive. It takes it out immediately, right as I expected. And you can see the effect of 4 beams have on a liner as this thing starts just getting melted. You can see the DC stuff at the top already going down. This liner is dead before it can even get a shot off. Meanwhile, the beam battleship starting to take plasma fire, but it is swapped to the next target as this liner is also going down. Unfortunate. Only 3 restores per liner here, as they're just going to get eviscerated by how many beams that ANS has up here. ANS perhaps successfully guessing that OSP was going to push over the C point like they normally do on this map, electing to take a massive amount of firepower up here just to deny that. The missiles completely coring one of these Ocellos, the other one forced to withdraw, no longer able to support the liners, as the liners are just going to be finished off by the missiles here. Gets its CIC sniped, putting the reinforced in the large slot. Massive hitbox for that CIC as it just goes down completely. That is 2 liners, nearly 3, completely out of the fight. More torpedoes go in on this already dead liner. An unfortunate waste of points for ANS, although I don't really think that's going to really affect much. Beams finish off this already damaged liner here, as there's only one of these liners left. The missile liner is starting to back up. Full reverse thrust. It does not want to be there right now. OSP does manage to secure the A point here. Those 2 Ocellos pushing low through the middle where there's nothing there to really stop that. These rails sitting idle right now. No targets yet. Potentially waiting for a lock. Yeah, no targets. I believe Leviathan's probably pretty busy up here microwing the Axford, trying to deal with these liners. Let's see. The carrier still sitting in the back here. If these... Oh, whoa. These Ocellos might find the carrier. If, yeah, no, this carrier needs to move immediately. Yeah, you can see its drives are already up. It is already moving. This carrier, knowing that these Ocellos are right there, it needs to move now before it gets caught out. Although those Ocellos are probably going to have to go through this Axford here. What range are they at to the Axford? They are nearly within 5 kilometers. They are nearly within beam range of this Axford. As this Axford just gets a little bit closer, it can start beaming them. I believe this battleship is probably going to stay here and finish off of this frontline push here. OSP investing heavily into the front line and losing nearly half of it at the first moments of the match. ANS completely healthy here as their ships are still intact. Yeah, OSP 3k down immediately. A rather unfortunate situation to be in here. As this Ocello drives down. It does have the restores. It's trying to chain the large DC lockers to get those restores back. But this thing is not going to be in the same fighting shape it was at the beginning of the match. The other one is still intact, and ooh, the Ocello is starting to take rail fire from the Keystones. Although the Keystones are spotted. What's the range to those Ocellos? Those Keystones are within, like, 7 kilometers. They start taking fire from one of the 100 mil bulkers here as it loops around to avoid the Beam Solomon. As these rails, yeah, these rails are way too close. They're going to start taking 450 and 100 mil fire. ANS, though, does have the Beam Axford in range. It has missiles queued up. Black Amnesias are targeted onto those Ocellos. We will see if these are enough to get past the heavy point defense of Ocellos. Rails coming out. Carrier not spotted yet. It looks like it is going to manage to duck behind cover there. Missiles out from the Bulker onto the Keystones here. These are ACT-SAR H. Illuminators out from the Bulker as well. Do these have chaff? They do, and it looks like the chaff is going to be enough to confuse the missiles. Chaff will confuse both active radar and SAR-H if the chaff is placed well enough. Although, that being said, I have a feeling the 100 mil and the 450 is going to clean up these Keystones quite nice. Missiles, unfortunately, not staging fast enough as those Auroras clean them up. The massive range of Auroras enough to really deal with those. More missiles out, more Thunderchilds out on the Keystones here. It looks like they have targeted chaff once again. As despite being crippled, this Keystone is able to put out enough chaff to soft-kill those missiles. Perhaps ACT-SAR-H not the secret combo to go, as chaff just counters that completely. You can see here, it looks like the Beam Solomon is starting to move back, realizing that OSP's front line has flanked around the Sea Rock, trying to get behind them. Carrier doesn't have much strikes out. It does look like it's launching a flight of quite a few Tantos and a bomber. We will see where those strikes are heading. Deep point fight here. Looks like it's probably going to go to ANS as the RPF reds out this shuttle quite substantially here. That's a basic CIC and a bulk mag. Just a couple more RPFs into that bulk mag, and it is going to go down. That fire is going to eat away at its health. If this magazine takes much more damage, it's going to be out of the fight, and it's no longer going to be able to feed bullets to that gun. Meanwhile, the Sprinter is just completely intact as it goes for the D point. ANS going to get the 4 cap here by the looks of it. More Thunderchilds out on the remaining Railstones here. The Railstones did try to do a little bit work. Unfortunately, they were too far forward and did get caught out, unfortunately, and they are probably going to go down here. One of them already dead. The other one dumped chaff, and it looks like there is no illumination out, as these Axe Seekers are going to go for the dead Keystone as well as the chaff. These missiles here not having much effect at all on target, as I don't think they've gotten any hits so far. Kind of unfortunate. Looks like we have a S2 Claymore out here, patrolling next to the carrier. Looks like the Voxel has moved back from its E-point adventures. Benefit of these, reinforced drive. Okay. Not what I would have taken, but okay. But yeah, even without the drives you would normally see on these Voxels, these ships are incredibly fast, able to reposition around the map very quickly. ANS here might fall into the problem of only having beam weapons. These weapons are only close range and so cannot affect things outside of 5 kilometers. That being said, these ships are within beam range. This Beam Solomon is about to round the corner and get some beams out on this poor liner here. This liner needs to withdraw, and it looks like it is starting to move back. Yeah, but it looks like this liner is going to get outside of 5 kilometers before the beam manages to get on target. 250 AP going out on this liner. Was that AP or was that HE? That is 250 AP. You want to be firing HE at liners. It does a lot of damage. If that 250 manages to take out this thing's small drive, it's going to be easy pickings for the battleship to just run up on. This liner realizing that there is a Beam Solomon at like 3 kilometers, starting to back up, realizing that if that thing comes around the corner, it is just going to get cored and annihilated. Couple gun sprinters around this Acello here. Despite the low damage of the 120, it is going to be enough to make sure that the thing never gets repaired. We have some S3H out on this this liner here. How much hard kill do we have here? How much point defense? Looks like we have a scattering of Pavises. We have a lot of Pavises, actually. Never mind. That could be enough. Oh, it's Cork. A lot of Pavises, but I don't think it's going to be enough, as 1 hits and 2 hits right in the core section takes out a small DC and takes out 2 small DCs. Never mind.
The enemy is securing some boxer.
The battleship, it's angled improperly, as the beams are not in angle to hit this this liner here, but it is just barely out of range as this battleship realizes that it is out of beam range and has to withdraw. You can see the downside of bringing only beam as ANS is outranged by all these craft here. We have some missiles out on this Acello here. They all go for the chaff. Unfortunate, but it looks like these are going to... Oh, 1 hit on the bottom here. Takes out the magazine and the drive. That small drive going down at like less than 20%. You can see the downsides of bringing small drives. They just die insanely quickly. They have less health and their damage threshold is much lower. Panther Squadron jumping into this SAR-H missile storm, attempting to break it up and destroy the incoming missiles, although given that this ship has active decoys and chaff out, I do not think that those missiles are going to hit. B manages to get secured by OSP as one of the Acellos rounds the corner here. The other Acello stuck in a gun duel with this Voxel here, taking quite a bit of damage for its troubles. You do not want to be bound onto any incoming fire when you're in an Acello. You're pretty vulnerable in that situation, even with a radar drive. You're not target locked. Can you target lock? No, you only have a front line. This Voxel is completely unable to lock targets. So perhaps the radar drive might be able to help this guy dodge incoming fire, but we shall see. ANS has the C point completely locked down. OSP's push onto the point completely failing here, as it looks like they elect to withdraw their remaining assets back to their own points here to try and recap them from ANS, as it looks like they're going to get D point back. E point, it looks like there is an Ocello diving on it. This Ocello is heavily damaged, though, and it looks like the carrier has... it doesn't look like the carrier is going to let this Ocello get to E point. It looks like that's the ship that's been harassing them for the match here. This other Ocello up here is never going to get back up, as this gun sprinter makes sure that this thing will never restore its equipment. It cannot break damage threshold, but as long as it keeps putting damage into it, it will make sure that anything that gets repaired dies immediately. There goes the dagger secure from OSP here, as they are managing to get a 3-cap potentially here. ANS potentially going to lose 2 gun sprinters here, as both of them caught out by a ship that they do not want to be engaging in the terms of this autogun liner. They need to get those cap ships out of there immediately, or these things are going to get torn apart. Looks like this one's trying to withdraw, and this one might be trying to distract. However, with just a Mark 62, it's not going to be really able to do much at all. Healthy Ocello pushing over the top here into this battleship. That range is closing fast. This battleship, if this battleship starts accelerating into this Ocello, it might catch it out in range. It looks like they're electing to open the range as this battleship is moving behind the rock, trying to get into cover. I think that they just don't want to be out broadside to any of this incoming fire is what they are trying to do. The Voxel's starting to take some pretty bad damage here, losing its reinforced mag. No other mags to feed ammo to the guns. It cannot fight back. One of the railstones survives and starts putting supporting fire into this Ocello here. As OSP might just be... OSP might be able to flip the script on ANS here, as it looks like ANS is kind of deathballed on C and is unable to hold a lot of these cap points here. A lot of their cap assets dying at D point are also just like spread throughout the map on random missions. One of them just shooting up this already dead Ocello here. Zigzag needs to move this sprinter off of shooting this thing for all of eternity and go focus on the caps. Looks like we have a cluster of KBU-22 bombers out on this Ocello looking to finish it off in order to hold the E-cap. Without any point defense, I do not think this Ocello is going to be able to defeat this, as those bombs are... Yeah, I think these bombs are going to finish it off. Not quite. It manages to survive, although it is entirely crippled by this point. This thing is no longer combat effective. Its magazine is gone. Its drives are gone. All it's left is its guns and has no restores. So yeah, this gunship will be able to just contest the E point if this thing manages to drift onto point. ANS, though, looks like they are going to take the A point here. Nothing to stop them from doing so. The missile liner here just it cannot push anywhere near C, or it's just going to get annihilated. And yeah, despite being able to retake these back points, it looks like OSP's front line is just completely scattered around the map trying to deal with multiple things at once. Missile hits out from Battery Squadron. Were those were S2s. Those did a lot of damage to this thing, as it has no restores left. Massive damage to everything. Everything is red. If this Voxel were still engaging this thing, it could pick it off pretty easily, but unfortunately, this Voxel has withdrawn to restore its components. Mostly just scattered assets from OSP now, as they have a bunch of different ships in a bunch of different places, trying their best to sort of hold on to the cap points, whereas ANS's front line is still pretty fine, all things considered. Their battleship has taken a little bit of damage, mostly to the beams, but that's mostly battle short damage. And this Axford is just fine. Looks like they have detected this Ocello again. It looks like the 250 turret on this Axford moving to finish it off. Only a couple rounds of 250 AP is probably all it's going to take to really make sure this thing stays dead. That being said, its drives are online. It has DC, it can get that bulk bag back up, and it is actually combat effective if it can do that. However, I do not think that ANS is going to let it. The battleship electing to go over the side here. Oh no! It's within 4 kilometer range of this thing. If it gets over the corner here, it can just take out that missile liner here. The missile liner attempting to deny the A point here with more of its Thunderchild missiles. Although, does this thing have chaff? It does chaff out from the squat luck as the defender. I think the defenders are going to be more than enough to clean up those missiles there. As this battleship, what drives does this have? Raider, double Raider drive on this battleship here means that it is going to have the acceleration it needs to get over the map here, and it's 4 kilometers away from this liner. It's just going to core it out completely. 3 beams are already tracking to target. It knows it's there. This poor liner, I think, is not long for this world. Beam out from the Axford into this Sicelo here, finishing it off. Right as this battleship rounds the corner here, they're bearing to targets. Not sure why they're still bearing. Are you on weapons? Oh, nope, there goes the beams into this liner. Massive damage to the center of the liner already. All 3 beams going into structure. And that liner is structure broken immediately. As you can see, the structure break takes effect here as this liner just gets annihilated by this battleship. Desperate Thunderchild is out on the battleship here, but unfortunately, I think it's too little too late. But the battleship burns out all its beams. This liner critically damaged. Takes some missiles from Grudge Squadron. Yeah, this liner is unable to withdraw, and although the battleship is no longer able to put damage into it, it crippled this liner enough for the carrier to just finish it off. And with this Voxel... Whoa, what happened to you? Did the Thunderchilds hit the Voxel? I think they did. I think that has to be what happened, right? Yeah, those are missile hits. Well, I wasn't looking. The Thunderchilds managed to critically damage this Sicelo again. Or not a Sicelo, Voxel again, but this Voxel is completely restorable. Whereas this liner... not really. As, yeah, the carrier is probably just going to be able to finish this thing up here. It can just ready another strike of those, KVU-22 Tontos and just blow it out of the water. King William making sure that this Sicelo never gets back up. This CIC is the only thing that's left. Attempting to restore 2 things at once with only 1 restore. This Sicelo is not getting back in the fight. The other Sicelos are still relatively fine, able to get some supporting fire into the ANS's ships back here, but unfortunately for them, they are just so far outside of the map here, completely nowhere near to where the fight needs to be, although the liner manages to get onto 8 point. And that's 120 RPF going into this liner here that will not damage it. This Voxel needs to engage that liner while it's crippled before it manages to restore and just take it out before it gets on the cap point. The battleship here has had its beams mostly burned out. It's trying to stay behind a rock to restore, but at the moment, I don't think... Oh, but look at this! King William from Leviathan flanking around the corner, knowing that this liner is very heavily damaged. It looks like it's going to try and finish it off. Looks like the guns are already bearing to target. Yep, that is a different track. I do not see any other track that it could be firing at. Although this liner here is still in the fight, it should be worth knowing. Despite having a small drive, this liner is fully combat capable. Although there are still several torpedoes on King William here. Yep, and there goes that Sicelo, the beam managing to finish it off. The Axford now, yeah, the Axford is just moving on to the 8 point. It recognizes that this liner is crippled, and that's the only thing stopping ANS from getting the front line here. This Axford can just go over there and just remove it from the fight if it so wants to, which it does want to. A shuttle over here going for the E point. E point is being held by this gun shuttle here. Does it recognize that this thing is no longer a threat to it, and does it recognize that it needs to swap targets to this shuttle here? We will see if it does. Both ships now spotted. ANS does know that this shuttle is going for the point here. 100 mil fire onto the King William. As it looks like this last remaining liner has something to say about ANS taking the 8 point. 250 HE going back into this liner here. Will it be enough? Probably not. Although this liner is falling back. I believe this liner recognizing that there is... Oh, it's trying to withdraw from these Tontos here. The Tontos, though, have KBUs. These Tontos will not be able to get past all of those Pavises. KBUs being unguided bombs. Those Pavises are just going to shoot them all down. But its CIC is down! Oh, no! Worst possible moment for these bombs to hit. The CIC kicks in at the last moment, but it's not enough. Several bomb hits into the liner. That was rather unfortunate timing for that CIC to go down. Although those bombs did a lot less damage than I thought it would. They managed to take out a couple guns and some DC lockers, but that was impressive timing from the CIC snipe from the King William. King William now trying to close the gap here. Nearly within beam range. The beam pointed towards the target. Yeah, this liner needs to get moving, but its CIC is down again. This is why we don't put CICs in these big slots here. They have massive hitboxes and die very, very quickly. Only one CIC on this thing as well. Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to be putting those CICs in those slots here. King William does get the beam out. Goes directly into this stack of guns here. 250 barely missing the drive section. What's happening down here? The carrier spotted. The carrier is in range of the this Bulker here. The Bulker putting some Thunderchilds downrange, although the Defender and the Chaff on this carrier here, I believe, should be enough to deal with that. No! One hit into the side. Fortunately, it hits the drive, which has a massive health pool. The drive absorbs all of the damage. Although a second salvo is prepped from this liner here. The Panther Squadron out of bombs. This is the strike that just happened against the other liners. The E-point duel down here. It does look like the gun shuttle is going to... Gunliner? What am I saying? The gun sprinter is going to be able to clean up this shuttle here with support from Buckshot Squadron. That is an S2 right into this ship here, and it kills it immediately. More missiles out on the carrier. Multiple hits. The Chaff not doing enough. And that carrier is out of the fight. Only one restore could bring some hangars back online, but those launch pads are gone, no longer able to field bombers. I have no idea why the carrier stopped out in the open here. It pays for it heavily, taking a bunch of S2 missile hits. There's a follow-up salvo to make sure the carrier is out of the fight. Not what you want to see if you're ANS here. ANS does get some torpedoes out on that Bulker, though. The King William electing to stop chasing down this already crippled liner up here and elect to go for the A-point. ANS does manage to get B-point back with the ship they used to cap A. And yeah, the rest of those missiles, are just going to find their... Yeah, they're going to find their way onto this carrier here as it's structure broken. It's gone. Zigzag Fault's carrier out of the match here. Not what you want to see, although their Voxel is still alive and kicking in, heading to the D point where there's nothing to stop it. I should have been watching those torpedoes. It looks like some of them go into the ship, but unfortunately this Axford still has its beam up. This liner is structure broken, and it is not going to be surviving this, unfortunately. The beam battleship pushing over the top here, hunting down Doggo's last remaining liner. Almost within beam range. What is your range? I can't see it from either view. Great, there's a rock in the way. That's nearly 5 kilometers. Yeah, this battleship is going to eventually get there and is going to just core out this liner and just finish it off. The Voxel finishing off the last ship here with RPF, I believe. D-point is wide open for that Voxel to take. E-point is firmly under the hands of ANS. So is... B-point, there's nothing over there to take it. Yeah, and I think that OSP recognizes the situation they're in. They're calling GG right now. The only things left are these Acellos, which are just pushed out way out of formation. This thing is withdrawing from the match. As, yeah, their last remaining combat effective ship electing to withdraw instead of suffering the embarrassment and humiliation of being destroyed. The battleship firing its beams, finishing off this liner here. or the liner surrendering rather. And that is round 1 of this match. It is 0-1 in favor of killing is just a means of communication.